We're going to talk about mastering the slip rope from beginner mistakes to pro precision. Hey guys, my name is Coach Keith Kepner, professional amateur boxing coach. I help people just like you go from just starting out, been boxing for maybe a year or less, or maybe for quite a few years, and help you get to the next level, no matter where you're at. Having that extra little bit of input or reminder, even of something that you learned before that you forgot, can be invaluable to your success. I'm going to talk about the slip rope, how to use it properly, and make sure you stick around for the end of the video because there's going to be a bonus tip, but then also some bonus drills you can do with the slip rope to help you be even more effective with it. Now, why the slip rope? I'm really big on the slip rope. And there's a lot of ways that you can work on head movement. You got the maze ball, you got a little ball swings back and forth. You've got like noodle stuff you could do. You have squares you can put on mirrors. There's a lot of things you can do. And I won't forget it, shadow boxing. You need to, of course, just simply shadow box defense, head movement, hand defense, using your feet, etc. But what is the advantage of using a slip rope for head defense or head movement specifically? First off is the kinesthetic feel of it, meaning you have an actual object that is going to help you measure how much and how little you are moving your head. Versus if you just simply shadow box, it's going to be hard to gauge if you're moving enough or too much, right? You don't really have that direct feedback where the slip rope helps you get an actual feel. That's what kinesthetic is, the feel of the slip rope. And when you do it properly, you're going to be sliding that slip rope around your head. Now, of course, those of you with crazy hairdos and whatnot, maybe it's going to be a little more difficult to do this, but you could even do it with a helmet and really just get the slide. But then, of course, you maybe don't have you'd still have a sense of a spatial awareness that you'd gain from it. You wouldn't maybe feel it so much because it's on your helmet, but still, it's something that gives you an exact feedback. And the last thing with that, of why it's so useful, is because it's pretty easy to set up. I've set up a slip rope in a room, just like this room, set it up in a garage, gyms, set it up outside. You can set it up anywhere. You got some rope, you can set up a slip rope. Can't really do slips on a slip rope, but you can do almost every other head movement. There's actually a way you can do slips, specifically the side-to-side windshield wiper type motion. That's maybe something I'm going to touch on later in this video, or maybe I'm going to save that for another one. All right, now let's talk about the setup of a slip rope. This is something I see people mess up all the time. They either put the thing too low, too high, do all type of craziness with it. All right, so first off, let me give you the exact measurements for how you need to do this. When you're setting up a slip rope for yourself, now, of course, if you're in a gym working with other boxers at that moment, right, you and a couple other guys are training, yeah, you're going to have to maybe find some in between, all right? But you say you're just doing it for yourself, open gym workout at your house, whatever the case may be. You're going to have that slip rope put up at your shoulder height. So it's right at the base of your neck and where your trap is when you're in your stance, not standing up straight, not squatting down deeply, in your natural boxing stance, that height, because then that height is going to tell you how much you would need to drop to go under punches that are aimed at your head, et cetera, et cetera. All right. And then the second part, I see people also mess up all the time. And I really do believe it is a mess up because then it gets awkward and then it doesn't tell you the amount in your exact position that you should move your head. Because that is what's so beautiful about it, is that when you weave under it, roll under, come up on the other side, you've moved your head the space of a head, which is about the space of a punch. A punch is about 6 or so inches across with a glove. So that's about how much you need to roll or weave under and come up on the other side to be off the line, quote unquote. Now, what people do is they leave that rope all droopy, sloopy and droopy, and then it kind of wiggles and you don't get that nice tight feel. You want to make that rope as tight as possible. Now, granted, that might be a limitation for you with your setup. You might not be able to do it as tight as you want to do it just because it's going to pop off the wall or whatever. But ideally, I like to put a bungee cord on the end of the slip rope that I attach the rope to, and I get that sucker so tight, as tight as I can, So therefore, it is as still as it can be. So therefore, I can ride that thing as close as I can so I can help develop that precision. And that's how I like to do it with my boxers. That's how I did it when I box, but it's also how I like to do it with my boxers because that allows them to get that exact spatial awareness and not have it go up or down or whatever. All right. Now let's talk about some of the techniques to use with the slip rope. All right. So the first one, we're talking about just stationary weaves, or people call this rolling under punches. But I like the term weaving because roll can get confused sometimes with shoulder roll. I hear I get confused all the time, which is okay. They're all rolls, but weaving and painting a U, half of a circle with your head. Now, how do you do this? Now, by the way, guys, if you want to work with me, I have a few different ways you can do that. The first off is obviously just consuming all this material where I put everything out there for free for you to use. But then the second one is I have the custom elite level program where I build out workouts exactly for you, watch your workouts, training with a slip rope, bag work, sparring, everything else, give you direct feedback and build out every single thing you should do every single day of your training. And it will help you get past any stumbling blocks you have right now and turn them into stepping stones and allow you to get to the next level. Then also I'm going to attach a survey. That's actually the inspiration for this video is I have a survey down at the bottom of some of these videos or pinned to the top rather of the comments, where you get to fill out information about yourself. And I use that to make sure I'm helping you guys. Right. And the last thing is if you want maybe help with your gym or coaching to turn your passion into a profession like I've done, message me on Instagram, DM me there, Coach Keith Kepner. All right. So how do we do the stationary weaves? Number one is you want to make sure you stand under the rope. I see people stand off to the side of the rope and they have to step every time they weave. Now, granted, that's another move and that's cool, but let's work on just stationary weaves where we just bend our knees, roll under and come back up enough. Now, the benefit of coming back up is now when someone throws another headshot, you weave back under and you make them miss. If you just stay down there, then someone's going to shoot down for you. So it's very important to move your head, come back up to that level sometimes, and then go back under and do that just enough. Again, that's where the rope is so beautiful because it's going to tell you exactly the right amount. You don't have to guess it and then find out if you're right or wrong at sparring. It will tell you exactly how much. And then you can even utilize it to work some bobs or dips right there and then test it by going to the side to make sure you dipped enough. And it gives you that instantaneous feedback where you don't have to try to look and see like in the mirror, is that enough? Because it can change from your perspective looking at a mirror as you drop down and things like that, or have a coach there. This allows you to literally coach yourself with the feel of the rope. It is beautiful. So you bend the knees, focus on dropping down the back knee so you're not leaning forward too much. Make sure your head doesn't go over your lead leg. Weave under and come back up. And this is another place where the slip rope is very helpful and very important, is to use it as a focal point. So often, we all have done it. When you move your head, specifically weaving under punches and dipping, you look down at the floor a little bit. This allows you to keep your eyes on the rope in front of you. Look about maybe 6 or so inches, 8 inches in front of you on the rope. And as you go under, pick your head up slightly so you can keep your vision on that point of the rope. And then when you come back up with the chin down. So often when people move their head or go under something, they come back up because they looked up slightly when they went down to keep their vision. They come back up and their chin is up now and they get hit very cleanly. You want to do your best to avoid this from happening. Now, does this mean if you ever weave under punches and look down that you're going to get nailed? No. See, plenty of guys do it all the time. But we want to build up patterns that are going to be the most precise and the most effective in the most variety of situations and leave the least gaps to be exploited. I don't know about you, but I don't want to have a whole bunch of little mines or mind traps or booby traps set around that are going to catch me if I don't pay attention. What I want for you as a boxer, no matter if you're just a hobbyist, a fighter, pro fighter, whatever level you are, or a coach. A lot of coaches watch this channel. I want to make sure, this is my philosophy, this is how I was taught by my father and how my father was taught by Chuck Bodak. Let's do our best. Let's not be neurotic and be a perfectionist, but let's do our best to optimize and focus on optimization to leave the least amount of gaps. Now, of course, there will always be gaps, no matter what, but you want to try to have the least. So therefore, they don't bite you in that clutch moment where everything's on the line. You're fighting for that most important fight of your career, or you're cornering your guy for the most important fight of their career. And now one of those holes came up. Sometimes those holes can come up no matter how good of a coach you are, or no matter how good of a fighter you are and how much time you've put in. Holes can happen. That's one of the laws of the universe, is entropy, one of the laws of thermodynamics. But we want to make sure things fall apart naturally, but we want to make sure that we make that effort to minimize as much as we can, control the controllables, and leave the rest up to God or whatever you want to ascribe your fate to. But control what you can control. Now, moving on to move number 2, we're going to talk about forward and backwards walking weaves. So this is a classic type of Joe Frazier, Henry Armstrong type thing. Of course, you think of Mike Tyson, guys like that, walking and weaving in, and then also being able to do that on the way back, which most of those guys didn't do. They did it going forward, but it's good to do both. Now, when you do this, you want to make sure that you don't start heel stepping. Everybody, every single freaking person I've ever had do this drill, starting off, walking and weaving in, their lead heel hits the floor because it's this type of walking motion. You want to try to tiptoe it. Make sure the ball of your foot hits the ground first, that part of your foot that's closest to your toe, and tiptoe your way in. You weave under to your lead side. The lead foot goes forward. The rear foot gets left behind. Then when you come back under to the other side, to your original side, then that back foot is going to come up with you. And so by the time you come back around to your rear side, the rear foot comes with you, and then you repeat. And then you do the opposite going backwards. You start off again when you weave under to your rear side, the rear foot goes back, the lead foot comes back when you come back on the lead side. You go back and back and back and forth. Okay. And that's how you coordinate this. And then when you start doing it fast, it makes sense. Right. But when you start off doing it slow, it doesn't make much sense. But trust me, when you start to speed up, then you'll feel, there's the rhythm, and there is exactly how it's done. Now, the next one is another excellent use of the slip rope for exact precision that you don't get an opportunity to do that much unless you're doing very specific drilling with mitts or a partner or sparring. And that is smother steps. Love it for this use. And again, it helps you fortify the depth of your dip. So many people will dip or bob so deep or not deep enough. So you're going to step in as you drop levels. And this is essentially what you would do, either slipping and smothering or dropping down and smothering to get your head off the proverbial line in. And then leads me to number 4, the exit dip. So dipping and stepping out. Such a great move because so many people get caught with punches, whether it's straight punches or a lead hook as they exit out. And this is where it's so great to be able to drop levels as we do that. So when someone tries to shoot for where you were, you're not there anymore, and you actually got further away in the process. Beautiful thing. And this is where you have to really trust your awareness of where the rope is. But again, it builds up so much awareness and spatial awareness, which you need as a boxer. Because think about it, the sport of boxing takes place in a ring. A ring is a specific size that in that fight, granted, rings are different sizes sometimes, but generally competition rings are within certain parameters of sizes. But the size of the ring that you're fighting in is not going to change, or that you're sparring in is not going to change during that sparring or during that fight. So building up that situational awareness of knowing exactly where you are in space is so essential as a boxer. All right. Then the last one before we jump on to the bonus is the angles. Angles meaning you're going to drop and reposition yourself. So you're essentially going under, typically hook punch. And you could even do this without a punch coming at you because you're dropping levels, getting your head off of that altitude or that plateau where it can be chopped off, and you're repositioning yourself at the same exact time. It's a great thing to do after a combination, typically, or after a punch, and sometimes in the middle of a defensive pattern, block, cut that angle, and then throw some shots off. You're going to go under to your lead side, step with your lead foot. Again, make sure you hit with the ball of the foot. Not that, again, you're going to get knocked out if you hit with the heel, but we want to build up that habit so that whenever we move, the ball hits first. So therefore, off of that position alone, we can move. If your heel hits first, you're stuck for just a momentary second. And even great fighters get exploited for this throughout the history of boxing. And I don't want you to be one of those people that get exploited no matter what level you get to. Then when we go to our rear side, we step off with our rear foot first and slide our lead foot off, creating either as much as about a quarter turn to maybe we could do about half of that. So a slight angle, so about an eighth of a turn or a quarter turn as you dip under. And again, it gives you that exact precision of how much. Mix in a combination, go under, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, let's get to the bonus stuff, guys, the fun stuff. So, bonus tip for the slip rope is utilizing it to learn what most people call the two, which is the cross. But this is where we get a chance to actually cross it over the rope. Now, this isn't just an exact cross, meaning that we are crossing over the rope, which is representing an opponent's jab of the same stance, but we are actually we're weaving under as we're doing it. So essentially, it's almost making it a little bit like an overhand, but it's a great way to learn how to slide over an object, which would be an arm, and get that shot through the castle gates and onto your opponent. Excellent move, throw a combination off of it. Teaches you again how much you need to move the head. And it's great as well because as your head moves off like that and rolls under, sometimes people will be watching your head as that happens, and then that punch is coming with it, or even sometimes slight hair second afterwards. And it's a beautiful setup, beautiful shot. And again, it's a great way to take away somebody's jab of the same stance. All right, now the drills I want to give you is 3. So number 1 is weaving in one spot, stationary, not going side to side like a little dance, weaving in one spot, and then you're going to explode out with a 1-1-2 on either side. So you're going to weave and you end up on your lead side, explode out with 1-1-2. You're weaving under and you end up on your rear side of the rope, if you're orthodox to right side, 1-1-2, and then let's do a little dip afterwards. But this is great because it's a great way to practice rolling under punches or weaving under punches, making an opponent miss, and then blasting them with the greatest counter in boxing, which is a jab. And what's better than one jab? 2 jabs, coming back with a hard 2, and then making a miss afterwards, right? Being first or being third. Then number 2 is weaves and a step back, and then an exit out to the side. So you start on one side of the rope, you're weaving, you step back, and you exit out, cutting an angle. And then again, weave, you step back, stuck on the other side of the rope, so either on the right side or left side of the rope, and then you exit out the other way. Again, a great way to make someone miss a little bit, create some space. They reach for you, you exit out, and then you could also put that exclamation point at the end and put some punches in after that. It'd be a beautiful thing to do. Then number 3, you have shadow boxing, freestyle, and then mixing in the rope. So you're moving all around. Now, this is, again, where I like to do cross ropes in the ring, where you go rope to corner posts. So there's 2 ropes in the ring, and so therefore you're creating an X in the ring. Beautiful thing to do. You can practice boxing the X, right? So facing the X like you're fighting someone there, or boxing facing outwards towards the rope like you're cutting someone off and moving along the ropes and bobbing under the rope like that, like you have an opponent throwing punches at you, mixing your punches, et cetera, moving all around. But if you just got one rope up like I do here, moving around and creating that precision, cutting it so close. This is the time to learn. This is the time to mess up. So close so you can learn how little and how much you need to move and really operate right on the edge to find out that perfect amount. And again, that's what I love about the slip rope so much. When you utilize it in these ways, you'll love it too, and you'll also love the benefits and effects it will have on you and your boxing skill and your head movement precision. This is Coach Keith Kepner. If you like this video, make sure you click like, subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. Most people watch this channel are not subscribed, so do me a favor, subscribe. That's awesome. Helps out. And then if you want to work with me, check on those links, fill out that survey below, and make sure you watch this video right here because it's exactly what you need.